Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Season 2 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left is David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA. If you guys are watching this on battleviewer.com, go over there right now and check it out. And finally, follow us on Twitter @WGLNA so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the community around you and answer for us the question of the day, which is, David,
what is your favorite Tier 10 tank?
That is right. My favorite Tier 10 tank would have to be the Waffle. I love an auto-loading tank destroyer that is named after my favorite breakfast. So, Waffle is it for me. David, what's it for you?
IS-7, which I don't think is named after any sort of food at all.
Yeah,
but
you never know.
It sounds like it could be a really incredible sub sandwich.
Yeah, and it gives you the feels. Like when you eat it, you're just like, oh, you start
we've been
crying.
on this long enough
You
already.
don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our final battle is going to be between DNA versus Noble. On the side of DNA, we have Master Putin. On the side of Noble, we've got Comps. Gentlemen, welcome to the face-off, Master Putin. Going to go ahead and start with you, sir. After a first week of play, what have you guys experienced as far as, is there anything new that you guys saw that you didn't expect? Or is everything pretty much like, oh yeah, we expected Tier 10s to work out this way?
Yeah, we were a little surprised, I think, by last week's result. You know, maybe it wasn't as good as we expected. But we didn't change anything. We kept practicing, and, you know, we'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. Hopefully that pays off for you guys indeed.
Got to stay the course until you absolutely know it's wrong.
That's true.
Otherwise, you're just adding more
true.
variables.
That's true.
Putin, what's your favorite Tier 10 tank?
Batchat.
Batchat, another good one. Honestly, man, every time they pick one, I'm like, yeah, that's a great tank
That's also
too.
a good tank too. Tier 10s. This is the beauty of Tier 10s. Everything is so much fun. Thank you so much, Master Putin. Comps, going to go over to you and ask kind of a similar question. After a first week of play where you guys have been doing fantastic so far, is there anything that you have experienced that you didn't expect? Or is everything pretty much like, oh yeah, this is what we planned for, and everything is going according to plan?
Everything's on track. I mean, we're on our bandwagon of welcoming teams to the Gold League. So,
yeah, sure.
We'll keep that going.
Good. Yeah, thank you. I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah, but he's already been in the Gold League. So we'll see if that plays
yeah,
out.
but not that team.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
right.
I see.
I will note your Christmas decorated washing machine over here.
That's amazing.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
So let's get down to the actual serious business. What's your favorite Tier 10 tank?
I'll go with Putin and say the Batchat.
Oh. All right, we'll
Good
see.
choice.
We'll see if a similar love of a tank leads to similar play styles or not. Only one way to find out. Putin, anything you'd like to say to Comps before we get into the battle?
Good luck, have fun, guys.
All right, Comps, your response.
Sick chair, bro, and good luck and have fun.
Gentlemen, best of luck to both of you. We'll see you guys very, very shortly.
Oh, he's talking. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic chair.
Oh, he's
indeed.
talking to us. I was like, what?
I mean, these chairs are super sick, Comps. Thank you for finally noticing, because I've been waiting all year for you to say that. Now getting down to the match at hand. Both of these teams, I like what Comp said. They want to continue that bandwagon of welcoming these new players. But like you stated, Master Putin, these are teams that are players that we've seen before. That is on the opposing side. That is on DNA. But we did see DNA kind of struggling in the first week. We have seen Noble continue to crush it, and this is the one I've been excited about because as far as looking back at what happened last week, I'm assuming Noble can do the same thing. Let's pull up the rosters for DNA and Comps. David, on both of these sides, who are the stars to look out for?
Well, for DNA, that would most likely be Romstar and Putin, I think, are kind of the standouts at the moment. And then for Noble, I mean, all I can really talk about for Noble is who is currently leading in the fantasy points.
Sure.
Which, again, does not necessarily mean they're better than the other one. They all have their kind of own roles to play. Canadian Impact, for example, the team would not be the same without him, but he's not typically up there in the numbers. Same with Militant, although both of those guys are actually very high in their points per battle this time around. So perhaps Tier 10 is now the age of the support players. That's kind of essentially how they are. But then, you know, if we're talking about who the standout players for points, it's Akula. #1 on their team for points per battle so far.
And that's what I've got picked. That's what you've got picked as well. I know we share that as far as fantasy. And again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're keeping up on those fantasy points, seeing which players are racking up those numbers so you guys can get tons of prizes. Our fourth and final match of the night is underway. It's going to be WGLNA versus Noble on to Mines. The first time we've seen that tonight. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
So for WGLNA, we have Batchat, 2 Object 140s, a 62A, a WE100, an STI, a T54. For Noble, we have an Object 260, an E5, a Batchat, 2 Object 140s, a T22, and an M40, M43.
Right now, let's take a look at Noble's skins here. We got X-Shoulder, Dodo, Germ, all rocking those beautiful orange and yellow skins, that nice black camo. Again, not probably the best to blend in here onto Mines, but who cares? It looks sick. All right, now we got a little bit of a hill push going for Noble, but WGLNA not doing the same thing. They're deciding to sit back and do a nice little spread defense here, only sending Flashland up. X-Soldier is spotted by Flashland. They exchange some shots. X-Soldier shots are the ones that connect. Flashland not being so lucky. Milton, meanwhile, over on the right-hand side, caught my eye, knocking down a tree. We kind of talked about, even though he's spotted, David, let's kind of talk about that while we may have a second here. Teams looking out for things like that.
Absolutely.
For things falling, trees going down.
Absolutely. Now, most people who play the game have at one point or another noticed something be destroyed or a tree fall down, and they're like, oh, well, there's a tank there, right?
Right.
Of course, the pros do the same thing, but it goes even further than that. Especially when there were people who, well, I'm not going to talk so much about the past. I'll put it this way. There are definitely pros out there who could look at an area and say that tree is down, even if they didn't see it.
Okay.
So this could be a tree that they might not even see the base of, so they can't see that it fell over. It's just not standing above the rock that they usually see it behind. They're like, somebody's there. That tree is down.
It's amazing.
That's how much.
Amazing.
And so when we're talking about veterancy on these maps, that's one of those elements that pops in there. I mean, you're playing one of these situations and a tree's down, and a new team may not know the maps as well as that, where these other guys, it's just instinct to them.
Sure.
They may not
It's
even
almost like you don't even think about it.
recognize-
Exactly. They're like, I feel like someone's over there.
Yeah, exactly. That could be exactly how they think of it. I'm pretty sure somebody's over there, but they don't actually realize that they know that a tree is down.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It just comes down to feel, and so much of this is feel. I've talked in the past before. There are types of the players who could tell you the exact alpha, the exact high and low roll of every tank, and its exact reload with every single situation. It's camouflage rating, all that stuff, and that's great. And there was a period of time where I did focus on that, and I'm not criticizing, saying one is better than the other.
Sure.
But for me, I got
style.
super tired of trying to keep track of it patch to patch. So I had people that I relied
makes
on when I
sense.
built strategies. I would use those numbers because they're important at that point. But during an actual battle call or a gameplay situation, you practice so much on this that it's feel. You know, I couldn't tell you the exact value of some of these shots, but
Right.
I can look at it and be like, he's a 2-shot.
Yeah,
I think he's playing.
sure,
Because I
sure.
know it because I've played him a lot and I can feel it out. So
Right.
the different strokes for different folks.
Well, that's what you're talking about. That just comes down to the veterancy, how much they have played these games. It just becomes inherent. Just because that your subconscious is almost registering this all the time, and that's what it comes down to. Oh, this is gonna hit because I couldn't tell you why I know. I just know, and they're probably right.
There are a number of people in competition and in martial arts in general who actually advocate for the idea of preparing and practicing so much that everything becomes habit, and trying not to think. And just letting your
Sure,
instincts guide
sure.
you, because if you've prepared well enough,
Should be
your
good.
instincts will be right.
Yep.
Now, I don't agree with that 100% in World Tanks. It's a nice little trope to drop out there.
Sure.
But it's not 100% true. You do need to still think in World of Tanks, but there are elements of truth to that in particular.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, we got some damage there going on to Ramsar, and that ST1 dropping him down to just above 1,000 points of HP here. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remain on the clock. Noble, again, is on the offense. They didn't make the position. Now, something interesting, David, I want to point out is that M40, M43's positioning. We now see it kind of in that B8 area, the C8 area, which is somewhere that I generally don't see him. You usually see him in that A4, sitting over top of the hill in their spawn. What is he going to be doing there? Why do you think Noble's brought him to that area?
The M40 you're talking about?
Yes.
He's going to try and dig out Romstar. I wouldn't be surprised if he already got a shot on Romstar. We can check out. Romstar has a dead loader, I believe. Yeah, that has to be a dead loader. So he's got a dead loader, and that's pretty much it. So it would not be surprising to me if he did get
Already hit
rocked
him.
by something like that. Or either way, he's got a significant reload going on for him in the STI.
Well, another shot going out there from Akula V in that artillery. And it looks like Darth Vader took a chunk of damage. I'm not sure if that came from that M40, but I didn't see anyone else shoot, so I'm sure that was that connect as well.
Another thing the M40 could be useful for is blind firing. You can kind of soften up areas and you know that nobody was there. So if they were, they got splashed. What'll be majestic is if Akula ever makes contact with that WE100. Now, for me, that would be a dream. And I don't have anything against Velox or DingNA at all. I just absolutely hate WE100 and the 183. I can't stand them. I mean, they're great tanks, and they're fun to play. I just hate getting shot by them, so I love seeing them get clicked by a fellow clicker of a different sort.
Gotcha. Well, here we go. We have Noble now pushing him very aggressively into DingNA spawn, looking for Romstar, who is already just barely above half health here. Let's see what Noble can do, and will DingNA be able to stop it? External taking some chunks of damage there. 841 going to Romstar. That ST1, one more shot, and he's going to be going down. Veloxa doing work in that E100, the autoloader coming through on that waffle. X-Soldier does finally pick up Romstar after External has fallen for Noble. Meanwhile, Veloxa is on the reload, and now he looks like he might be reloaded. Sitting back there waiting for anyone to push out. Meanwhile, on the hill, Canadian Impact being pressed by DingNA. Master Putin does take him down, and now Germ has to be careful. He needs to get off that hill as quickly as possible in that 140 to try to find any sort of cover that he can, or Noble has to press now to try to find an overmatch on Ding back in the spawn, because if Germ does not get out of there, he has been going down very quickly. Dodo going a little head-to-head against Mr. Gordon Freeman, a T62 versus 140 here. 315 points damage there going in. Germ doing a nice side shot, not connecting anything, just trying to scare Veloxa away. Veloxa now on the move, running away from that position, that K9 area that he was just in. Dodo taking some shots there. Again, still from Mr. Gordon Freeman. Germ and Master Putin now going head-to-head. A shot there coming out from that artillery. Does not connect on that T62A, and Master Putin forcing Germ off the hill. The hill control now going over to Ding, and Veloxa finds Dodo. That's another tank falling for Noble, and left and right, it looks like Noble is losing this battle. It is slipping out of their control. Milton now is being pressed up against Flash, but Milton does find Flash, and that T-54 going down. That Batshot has 2 more shots in it. It'll be interesting to see if he just waits. He's actually just going to let them go into Darth Vader with 1 more, and Darth Vader's going down, but Darth Vader does pick up X-Soldier before he falls himself. 1 minute and 25 seconds on the clock. DingNA just has to survive this. Germ, Militant are really the only mobile ones for Noble, as Akula is still in that artillery. Militant is on the reload. He's being chased down by Master Putin. He's going to be on the reload quicker than he is. They're both in the same tank. Germ finds Papa Dijon, and now he's on the run himself. 1 more shot, and he's going to go. Let's see if he can get around the corner in time. He does. Master Putin, though, chasing him. They know where he's at. He is spotted. He is not going anywhere here. Master Putin all fully loaded, ready to go. Germ looking at him, takes a shot, does a nice 348 points of damage. It's Akula's turn to be the tank destroyer. Master Putin takes down Germ. The shot onto Mr. Gordon Freeman from Akula is missing, and that is more than likely going to seal the fate for Noble. Double kill. Master Putin blocks up, picking up Akula and Militant, and DingNA going to pick up their first victory against Noble here on to Mines. And now, one thing that we generally don't see in Mines is slow play. Mines is generally a quick map. Everyone rushes to center. They get that hill control. Something interesting happened that time. Not only did Ding not contest for and get the hill control, they also did not really punish Noble for getting the hill control either. Noble got to get up there with a couple of tanks, and nothing really happened to him. Where did that fall apart from Noble? Because it looked like, on the books, for me, everything should have been going in their favor.
They stepped into a trap where the W100 was, and at that point, it was game over. Maybe not entirely game over, but they lost the tank, a very critical tank on a corner they could not afford to lose, and every single step they took away from that position cost them. They got hit on the way in, they got hit on the way out, they lost a tank in it, and then their hill force was basically alone. They fell exactly into what DingNA wanted, and when you see a WE100 on the enemy team, there's really only one place, in my opinion, that it could be in the south.
Gotcha.
Without it being spotted at some point, or without a nice set of blind fire softening up and finding it. There is perhaps one more in the southwest, but it's pretty much going to be along the K-line area, either in the southeast, southwest, maybe in the K4 area. But if it is, you can blind fire it out. It's too big to fit in there. I mean, we've seen other tanks there, like the Borsig, for example, would go there in the past, or a 5100. We saw those get blind fired out at tier 8. And these tanks, are like this big compared to the W100.
Right.
So this was just a calling and problem-solving failure on Noble's part, and a plan of that worked on DingNA's part. Question whether it'll continue working, but for this opponent at that point in time, great.
All right.
They bought it.
All right, well, there you go. Hook, line, and sinker indeed. Another thing for Noble, bringing that artillery in those positions to kind of try to find ROM at the beginning. We're talking about getting that blind fire, trying to weaken a position. Is it kind of, you shoot there, and even if you don't know you hit, or you're just like, all right, good, we cleared that area out. We know he's either at half health or he did take some damage. That way, you do that part continually, or do you spread those artillery shots out through the areas you're looking for?
Well, he's not the only one that can do the blind fire. So I would use higher DPM, higher rate of fire tanks to find out where your shots are kind of disappearing, and then drop one of the M40 shots on.
Makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready for the next battle. WGLNA versus Noble. We're switching sides. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
So for WGLNA, we've got an E5, 2 bat chats, 2 object 140s, and it appears we have a disconnect.
Disconnect indeed. Then we're going to start right over. Again, the rules are they cannot change the lineup. So what you guys just saw, if you could read really, really quickly, it's going to be the same thing. But we have switch sides. WGLNA is on offense. We have Noble on defense. And now, again, let's just talk about this back and forth kind of going. Is that something that is new? Has any other seasons implemented that before, or is that just for 768 for the first time? The back and forth of going from offense, defense to offense, defense.
So that is just this season for the first time. It was a concern of a number of people, and I don't necessarily know who raised it first. I have support for this idea that it is very rough for a team to start off on 2 offenses, lose those, then go on defense. There's a good chance that they can get on tilt during that point in time. If you're banking on being able to beat an opponent and you've got an offensive strategy and you're thinking, okay, all we have to do is run this right and we'll win, and you start the game off on failed offensive strategies, a lot of you may be looking at it, and a lot of people, and you're not wrong, of sitting back and be like, well, you got 2 on defense, all you got to do is hold those and everything will be fine, right? But to a team that has put so much stock in the idea of getting those 2 wins off the table, it's crushing. You already feel like you're losing, even though, I mean, technically you are, but once you get your 2 defenses,
It'll be
you
tied.
might not be. But it creates room for tension between players, disappointment, lack of trust in a caller. Say the caller made those mistakes, whatever, and it starts to decompose your team. So it was made into this time around so that basically a team that goes on offense first and then immediately gets to go on defense. So it's not just banging their head against the wall and failing.
Why did this work? Why did this work?
And now I feel like we get better quality matches out of all these teams.
Sure.
I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Interested to see what everybody else thinks about it, but I think this is a great decision. And I think a lot of the other balance decisions that North American guys made, as opposed to some of the other regions, because there are slight rule differences between the different regions. Like we've got two tank limit, a lot of these things. I think these were great choices overall. And I think as seasons play out, I think it'll be more and more clear that a lot of these were the right decisions to make.
Cool.
And we'll see.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, again, let us know what you guys think as well back at home. But right now, we are now into the next battle, Noble versus WGLNA on the mines. Let's get right back into it and take a look again what we've got for our tanks.
So for WGLNA, we have an E5, 2 bat chats, 2 140s, an STI, and a T54. For Noble, 2 260s, a bat chat, 2 140s, and 2 T54s. So both teams going for the tier 9s instead of a single tier 8.
Okay.
Got a moment to check out WGLNA's camo.
Pretty sick as well. I mean, I love all these camos.
This would be a pretty amazing winter camo.
I was going to say, yeah,
on a
somewhere in
lot
the
of
snow.
maps.
Somewhere in the snow.
I mean, the winter camos look very similar to that, but that one's cooler. Maybe it's just cooler because it's new. I always want what I can't have. So, WGLNA, this is interesting. They're going to run a hard flank right off the bat, and Noble is just going to push up into the middle and try and create a fight. It looks like they got some shots on Papa Dijon. They're leaving a lot of room for this flank to actually come in. The only person who's going to see it coming at all is Dodoma. He's going to get that spot, and he's going to have to drop down the outside. But for a second there, he looked like he was going to start driving away, and it was
going to be disastrous as well.
But here we go. WGLNA lining up, coming in from behind. Germ actually ducking back to see if they were coming. You can see that caller instinct, and he is getting lit up, and that was not the right play to make, even though he wanted to see it coming. And WGLNA rolling in on Noble.
A lot of damage there going into Germ. Germ being eliminated now, and WGLNA continuing to find the damage where they can. Robstar taking a lot of damage. Master Putin, Dodo picking that one up, and now 1-for-1 exchange for both of these teams. X-Soldier finds Robstar, and it looks like Noble's actually turning this one around as Darth Vader is taking tons of damage. 1152, and another one. Darth Vader goes down. That's a bad chat falling. Flashland takes Canadian Impact down, trying to respond as best he can. But Mr. Gordon Freeman is next to fall. Akula finds that one. Veloxa taken down next soldier. And now 4 members are alive for Noble against just the 3 of Ding and A. A flank that looked like it was going to go so well in Ding and A's favor is starting to fall apart on them. External now doing a good chunk of damage there on Veloxa. He is now kind of by himself against Flashland. Veloxa turning his turrets onto Akula, actually. Those 2 Object 140s backing up, doing some good damage there. Akula finally finding Veloxa in the ST1. Meanwhile, we still have the Bat Chat up for Noble, doing work here onto Papa Dijon and Flashland. He is fully loaded. He is ready to go. He's got 4 shots, and that's 1 kill going down. His turret is now over to Papa Dijon, the last member alive for Ding and A, and Noble is going to pick up this victory here. A fantastic win indeed, and a great way to claw out of what looked like a really, really bad situation there. Tying it up now, 1-1 on to Mines. Let's kind of talk about that for a second, because
I'm going to have to make a retraction very quickly.
Yeah, do it.
I commented on Germ having that caller's sense and backing up to see if those guys were coming. And I said, that's not the right play to make at that point in time. And what I meant was, there are better plays to make. I'm gonna have to just wipe it out. Either way, it is far more important in that moment, no matter what he does, to see them coming as soon as possible than anything else. So obviously sacrificing the T-54 was worth. Now, they probably should have had a different response or whatever. We can get on all the complicated details of exactly what you want to do in that instance, but they turned that around big time.
In a huge way.
That's not easy to do.
All right, and that's the thing I was going to talk about. Is that where you just really see player skill, communication? Again, you're getting flanked. Germ got taken out immediately. You're already a tank down, and to still turn that around in the team. If you're coming along for a Ding and A and you get a kill, is it not? Do a lot of teams plan out what to do next? Like, hey guys, we got around the corner, we got the kill. Now what? Is that a common thing that occurs, or at this level of play, do they know? Okay, we're gonna get on this corner, we're gonna get this tank, we're gonna continue these tanks.
They needed to focus fire better, and I think most importantly is their middle push. And we're talking about Ding and A here. Their middle push was a little bit too late to collapse, so essentially what they did was offer up an overmatch, and they got 1 free tank out of it. But then after that, the rest of their team was a little bit too late to the fight. So Noble had more tanks in area, was able to drop more tanks, and thus get ahead in the gun numbers. And from there, just snowballed.
And now we have the Bat Chat also for Noble sitting in the back, kind of by their spawn, doing absolute work there to the rest of Ding and A as they try to push. And no one really responded to that at all. Do you think, is that one of those, is that a proper call to just kind of leave that Bat Chat alone, or is that just too much damage you can't ignore?
At that point in time, there was nothing they were going to do to get that Bat Chat out.
We got to take it.
So the answer is to try and share the damage that he does, so he doesn't get it on one person.
Gotcha.
As long as he doesn't get it on one person, it's fine. Because if you try and dance around, he's going to get the shots in overtime anyways, and it's just not going to work out. You're spending too much time focusing on something you shouldn't be focusing on.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's all tied up into Mines. We're switching again. Noble versus Ding and A. Let's get into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For Ding and A, we have an Object 260 and E5, 2 Bat Chats, an Object 140, a 62A, and an RU 251. For Noble, we have an Object 260 and E5, 2 Bat Chats, an Object 140, and 2 T-54s.
All right, here, Noble now again off the bat, going very strong here for the hill. And they are going on the offense here. Ding and A doing a different defense as last time. They are sending Flash and Veloxa, but they're going for a hard flank again. It looks like they want to just try this. They want to say, hey, this didn't work out for us last time. Let's do it this time.
Keep throwing those curveballs
to make sure it works. Papa Dijon now doing some spots. And any second now, Darth Vader getting spotted by Canadian Impact. Master Putin as well. Canadian gets that first shot in. It looks like a track. Darth Vader, Master Putin sliding by brilliantly here, and now the battle is on. Akula is going to be the focus here. He's backing up now, just trying to get off the side of the hill. It looks like he might be stuck right in the corner. A disastrous place to be stuck indeed, but Germ finds Darth Vader. That back check going down for the side of Ding and A. Noble picking up that first kill, and now another tank falling for Noble. Akula getting picked up. Milton taking down Flash, and the D5 falling. Canadian Impact taking Romstar. Beautiful focus fire there coming out for the Season 1 champions. Veloxa trying to respond by taking someone down. Master Putin is now going to be going down next. That's going to be Canadian Impact picking up. Just 3 tanks now remain for Ding and A. and Militant, who's on top of the hill, doing a fantastic job, making sure Papa John cannot go anywhere on top of this hill. Another tank falls for Ding. Noble just needs to take down 2 more, and they're going to pick up another victory here. Militant now joining the team. He doesn't even have any ammo. He's just getting in there to make sure Papa John can't go anywhere. Couple more shots from Dota, and that is going to be going down. That is one. Milton's actually going to be reloaded just in time. The Bat Chat picking up that object 260. Mr. Gordon Freeman, full health, but that's not going to do much for you, my friend. As the rest of Noble is just going to come around, shut this down. A little bit of random damage from Jared. Milton flying, going ham, taking a lot of damage on his way. Looks like he gets caught around the corner. Not going to make it in time for the kill, but that doesn't matter because Noble is going to pick up another victory there on offense. I know we kind of talked about what DingNA was doing, throw him another curveball. You did it last time. It didn't quite work out for you. Try it again. It didn't work out for him again. I mean, how now this is where that that kind of taxing on their mentality, maybe on their fatigue, maybe on their their overall enjoyment of this game is probably going when you try a move, it doesn't work. Like, what, guys, it's all right. We got close. Let's try it again. You try it again, and it doesn't work. And from this point, where do you go if you're DingNA? It's like, all right, well, that doesn't work.
I'm not entirely sure. This is kind of a very different headspace than what I am used to at all. A lot of these strategies are not something that I would be comfortable with at all, and it worked for him a couple times. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to continue working for him. But I could speculate a couple different ideas of why they might be doing this. They could very well think they're the best strats possible. They could be trying to throw curveballs to Noble, like you were saying, and they're just not being executed correctly. Yeah. Or perhaps they caught Noble off guard the first time, and then after that, not as much. Okay. But they're at least in the second game, it almost worked again. In the third game, I don't think so. It just, you're offering up bad shots that went too far. I've never been a huge fan of that particular strategy. It's worked for people at different times, but purely by surprise. But you are essentially putting the entire responsibility for the match in your opponent's hands when you come around that corner, the way that DingNA does. Because it's like, well, okay, if they are in kill zone, great, we're going to get kills. If they're not, we are all going to die. Wow. And, I mean, you could see Putin drove all the way across all those guns for a 1v1 against a tier 9. Yeah. And he basically lost, most of his shots and his entire health for doing it. His buddy in the other bad shot died. Darth Vader, virtually nothing. Down quickly. Darth Vader literally did 0 damage in that instance. Putin, 1747 out of 5 shots. So he made all of his 5 count, which is magic, given what he did. Unfortunately, at least 4 of them were on a T-54, so it's a tier 9 taking itself out of a fight. Two tier 10s for 1 tier 9.
Not worth.
Not worth.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Noble up 2-1 against Ding. We are getting ready for our next battle. Can Ding tie it up, or can Noble continue this lead? Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For DingNA, we have 2 Bat Chats, 2 Object 140s, 2 62As, and an RU-251. For Noble, we have 2 Object 260s, a Bat Chat, 2 140s, and 2 T-54s.
All right, before this one actually gets started, I do want to kind of mention what happened last time that I saw. We had Darth Vader was one of the Bat Chats for DingNA coming on the side. He was leading the charge, followed by Master Putin in the back. He got tracked. Master Putin went right around him, and I thought that was brilliant because if he was following Darth Vader, right behind him, and Darth Vader gets tracked, you get tracked along with him. So is that something that these players know, or is that just lucky for Master Putin to not get caught up on Darth Vader right there?
It had to do with positions, but he was also fairly lucky.
Wow, already.
He took a gamble and he won it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Right, didn't work out for him in the end, but got him out of a tight position there indeed. Already, a lot of damage there going off the DingNA, being very aggressive here, going for this this Western cap. Number 2, you guys see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Veloxa takes some damage up on top. Germ now kind of flanking around. 22 seconds are on the clock. Milton is the one who's going to be finding these resets, but there are so many tanks for DingNA piled up on this cap. The question is, how are they going to be, or is Noble going to be able to keep track of who has the points and where they are? Mr. Gordon Freeman in that RU-251, making sure none of Noble can come off that side, but Canadian Impact looks like he doesn't matter. He needs to go right off the back. Finally get a reset there. 340 points there into flashing. Gonna buy Noble a little more time. Another chunk of damage there, and Dodo takes down Mr. Gordon Freeman all the way in the north there in that RU-251. Milton, though, is extremely low. One more shot from that Bat Chat, and he's going to be going down, and he has one more shot left. Let's see if he gets it off. He does. Looks like it connects on down to Veloxa for 389 points of damage. Now he's on the reload. If he goes down, not the, I guess, the worst situation to be in. He did get his clip out, and it looks like they are pressuring Ding off the cap, which is exactly what Noble will be wanting. Flash on Veloxa and Ramsar all extremely low here. Noble, and over almost 4,000 points of HP difference. They should have this one in the bag as External finds another kill. Master Putin on the reload, and that bat chat up on top by the Lighthouse. He is now out of the fight for a good long while. Papa John taking shots. Meanwhile, External and Germ taking 2 kills. Flashland and Veloxa, they are now deleted. 7 members, ladies and gentlemen, still up for Noble. Not a single member has fallen. As I said, Ex-Soldier, Papa John takes him out. 297 though going into him. Akula gonna get a little bit of revenge for his fallen ally. External takes down Darth Vader, and just Master Putin by himself in that 25T is going to remain with 6 members of Noble. Nothing Ding can do as Milton, nice shot from that bat chat from over by the rock. Noble going to increase this lead 3-1 against Ding NA here in our 4th and final match of the night. I mean, I like what Ding NA tried. They tried something different. They didn't go for the hill. They went for that Western cap, the number 2 cap. Let's talk about that cap in this Tier 10 strategy, because we haven't really seen that one get really pushed aggressively or not. If you're going to go for that Western cap, if you're going to dump those tanks there, what needs to happen first for you to have a really good chance of actually winning that way?
You have to take the Southwest very securely and then get shots on people who are trying to rotate back. The fight for the Western cap will be won or lost around K4.
Okay.
But Ding didn't even get to K4 at that point in time. So
gotcha.
They were a full stage away from where they needed to be, and they did not capture stage 1 on their own. Let's go ahead and go to stats really quickly.
Let's do it. Dun, 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 stats.
For Noble, External leading the pack with his 260 with 2449. That's not the first time he's been up there since we made the changes to Tier 10. Militant as well, 2273. Akula behind them, Canadian Impact, Dotama, Germ, Ex-Soldier. Like I said, I mean, the roster is just stacked with players that I would all pick for fantasy.
So many points.
And it's starting to rotate around a little bit, and I think this has a lot to do, or it says a lot about what's going to happen in fantasy this season.
Okay.
Papa Dijon, Big Daddy Mustard, telling everybody exactly why you should pick him for your fantasy. Pick
Daddy
anybody from
Mustard.
Ding NA. Him, Flashland, and MacTep. There you go. Sorry, MacTep. Master Putin. They're leading that pack right there. Veloxa not too far behind. So what I was saying about the fantasy, though, is any one of these guys can
Putting
rack
up
up
points.
damage.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to lead them to the highest amount of points right now. I mean, damage is king in a big way. Kills are pretty good. Resets are always very, very
Kings
big.
are also good.
Kings are good. So it's hard to predict exactly who's going to get it. So I feel like we're gonna have to get even more in depth to make the right picks in the future. It's going to be like, okay, what maps do we think these two teams are going to go to?
Sure.
On these maps,
more thinking.
where do these players go?
What do they play in?
What where does each team go? So with this strategy, this team with this strategy against this team with that strategy, I'm
my
pretty sure it's going to be External that gets the damage this time.
Oh.
And who knows?
Hashtag fantasy strats, ladies and gentlemen.
Who knows?
We are now going into steps. Noble is up 3-1 against Ding NA. Can they win 2 in a row and close it out, or can Ding come back and tie it up? Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For Ding NA, 2 bad shots. A Leopard 1. There it is.
There it is.
Shimbo's
Hey.
favorite tank. 2 Object 140s and STB 1. A RU251. And then for Noble, an E5, 2 bad shots, and Object 140 and STB T54 and M53, M55.
Right here. So now, Dave, let's talk about the Leopard for a second. Now that we have a little bit of time. Pros, cons of that tank. What is it used for mainly?
Well, it is in a big way a damage farming tank.
Okay.
So its gun characteristics aren't terrible, and they're not the best in my opinion. But this is a highly subjective area. Its armor is pretty good in the sense that if you can get your front around on people and you're kind of good at being trolly and dancing around, it can be tricky to penetrate. But I personally favor the Russian mediums the most out of everything because I feel like their armor configurations, while the numbers are lower, you can get into places that are very hard to deal with. I personally like the Object 140 out of all the mediums right now.
Okay.
But anyways, that's a whole different topic. We'll get to that sometime next week. I'll spend a lot of time preparing to talk about all the different differences between the Russian mediums in particular. But Ding NA pouring down the middle.
Fight going out right onto Noble. Ding NA coming down right down the center of the map. And the damage, though, is not in favor of them as Ex-Soldier takes down Darth Vader. A tank for Ding NA falling immediately. And the rest of Noble firing down here. Papa John is going to be next. Milton picking that one up in the bat chat. Veloxa taking 368 points damage. Meanwhile, Master Putin chasing down X-Soldier, who is off of reload. He will be able to take him down. No, he's going to wisely stay back because the rest of Noble was there to pick him up. Canadian Impact finds Flashland here. 4 tanks remain for DNA. Noble hasn't lost a single tank, ladies and gentlemen, and they're not looking like they're going to lose one as External picks up Veloxa. Master Putin just unloaded his last shot there in that bat chat. A little bit of a graze damage there going up between him and X-Soldier. 336, Dodo gonna take Master down. Mr. Gordon Freeman, Ramsar, it is up to you against 7 members of the Season 1 champions. Best of luck in these endeavors. 779 points damage are going on to RU251. Mr. Gordon Freeman there, one more shot. He's going down a nice shot from onto Ramsar there. Dodo picking up Mr. Gordon Freeman, and it looks like this is going to be a very quick victory here for Noble on the offensive team. I've never seen a defense do what DNA has just done, but we can talk about that once Milton gets his kill onto Ramsar, because that is going to finish out this match. Noble picking up a 4th victory here, now just needing one more to claim the match and end the 9-out. It'll be up to them to see if they can do it next or the next one after, or if DNA can come back from this one. But I kind of want to talk about, before we do get into that, what DNA just did. Because as we were talking, they're on defense. Generally, what we've been seeing on steps is, does everyone just chill, maybe boost someone, and then we just wait for them to cap it. Like DNA's like, no, we're not going to wait. We're going to push right down the center. And I generally, in my feeble mind, think, oh, great, if you're the one pushing, if you're the one who's going to get the jump on a team, you should be able to win that. And instantly, I think Darth Vader was out in front, and he got lit up and taken down. The artillery for Noble still staying alive, which is fascinating for a long time. What went wrong for DNA right there?
A lot. Not enough intelligence, intel as in spotting and intelligence in the game before they tried to jump on whatever they were trying to attack.
Sure.
There. Noble hadn't even really made a whole lot of movement.
No, they were all sitting in the back.
Place. It's like they knew it was coming almost. So DNA was trying to go for a situation where they dove in and took out that artillery. But Noble was trying to play it so that couldn't happen.
And
so they played directly into Noble's hands.
Yeah, it worked out for them in that case. So fantastic job for Noble, thinking that one through, not just leaving the artillery in the dust. So again, Battle Buddies, guys. See, it works out. Even the champs do it. Hashtag Battle Buddies. Now, if you're DNA in that situation, and because it's like you want spotting, right? You want to get that information, but you're also trying to be very aggressive and quick. How do you do both at the same time?
You can't. Unless you bring maybe a tier 8 light and you have him do an aggressive scout with everybody else in motion in case. So you would do something like this. You'd send the tier 8 to scout, and you'd have everybody rolling as though what you are looking for is what he sees. So say you're looking for tanks in the open and you want to dive on them.
Yeah.
Then you go there like that's going to happen, and unless the scout sees something bad, you keep going. But if he sees the people aren't there, then you peel back and you go someplace else. But it has to be a tiered strategy where you have all of those different things prepared for you.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if Noble can find their 5th and final victory here on Steps, or if DNA can come back. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For DNA, we have an E5, a Bat Chat, 2 Object 140s, 2 STBs, and an RU251. For Noble, we have an IS-7, 2 Bat Chats, and 2 Object 140s, along with 2 E50s.
All right, here, 7 minutes, 40 seconds on the clock. Not a lot of time has gone by, but already a lot of movement coming out here for DNA on the offense. They're sending just one RU-251 over into the northwestern side. That one cap you guys see in the bottom right-hand corner of the mini-map. Meanwhile, the rest of them pushing up again the center road. It looks like DNA really have put a lot of thought, either and practice, into pushing this. And here's that E5 pushing out in front on the scout. David, it looks like they're doing exactly what you kind of suggested, sending one tank ahead, letting the rest kind of sit back. Actually, no, they're not even following him. They're just letting him go.
Yeah, right now, DNA, they're just, I think that's more posturing him to get on cap, or maybe to see if anything comes over the top. So I don't think they expect to see anything come over the top, but it's just to make sure that it doesn't. So if it did, they would see it unexpected.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Then there's the E5 in the middle, who's going up the middle, and he is essentially cutting the map in half. So the RU-251 is making sure that nothing is west of the E5. Then the E5 goes up to the middle. Now DNA knows they own everything between the Bat Chat and the E5 diagonally across that map.
Gotcha.
So they now know they own roughly half the map, which seems pretty obvious from our perspective because we can see everything.
But to them,
this is super important because
right.
you never know what kind of curveball the team's going to show you. And as we've seen, Ding likes to throw curveballs.
Yeah.
So out of everybody, they would know.
Does make sense indeed, and now that they have that information, it'll be interesting to see how they utilize that against Noble and how Noble can respond. The cap pressure for DNA getting reset there by Canadian Impact and Dodo, taking those shots onto Mr. Gordon Freeman in that RU251, and still the 5 members of Ding just sitting there bunched up all together. Are they waiting for Noble to come down and try to go for a flank? And would Noble even do such a thing in this situation?
They're waiting for Noble to buy us as many tanks as possible to try and reset the cap. And they're banking on a lot of those people being in a place that those people in the south can fire at. I don't know how they intend to spot them. Maybe the E5, maybe they're just gonna roll up on the eastern side there. The E5 would technically be able to do it if it had optics. It does not. It doesn't have
they're
binoculars
spotted
either,
though.
so that's not gonna happen. And yeah, there you go. The Gambit has been spotted.
Bat Chat, X-Soldier spotting them out.
Putin brought optics instead of vents on his Bat Chat in order to try and get that extra vision. They probably did the math and it would have worked. But Noble wasn't in the right places at the right time, so they didn't get that shooting gallery they were looking for, and now it is just an awkward position for them to be in. Somewhat in Noble's courthouse here, they are the ones that have to make a mistake for this to work. DingNA has to capitalize on one of their mistakes and make some great plays while they're at it. Noble does have a little bit of an opportunity, or is leaving a bit of an opportunity for DingNA to capitalize on that now, but Flashland is flirting with danger right now.
Sitting
because
out
if
on
he is
top.
not careful, he will get 3v1'd, and there's nowhere for that E5 to go if the action gets on there. Dodoma's going to jump up on the rail line and get all those shots, but he's a little bit spread, and Noble is now under fire.
The damage going through on a Master Putin, 1,500 points there, and a lot more going on to X-Soldier as he looks like he might have been set on fire. Master Putin actually staying alive. X-Soldier is going to be the first one to be going down. Veloxa picking him up in that STB1, and the battle for below the eastern cap has begun. Akula dropping down below half. Veloxa, though, one more shot, and Akula's going to pick him up. Meanwhile, Flash and being surrounded by the members of Noble. Papa Dijon does find Akula. Darth Vader taking down Germ, but Canadian Impact finds Flashland in response. Mr. Gordon Freeman now on his way to the enemy spawn. Master Putin has to be careful. He's on reload, and he is flirting with death. External, though, being surrounded now by the rest of DNA. 4 members for Noble are alive, and with External going down, they might DNA might be able to claw their way out of this one. Canadian Impact finds Master Putin. A fantastic pickup there. Darth Vader ending External in that E50. It is now a 4v3. The numbers and HP in favor of DNA, but positions, David, who would you give this one to?
Oh, right now, it's honestly very likely that DingNA could pull this out, except, well, Papa Dijon, kind of a bad move there. He is opening up a little bit for. Now, at this point, with this situation, as long as Milton gives his hits his shots, I'm going to have to give it to Noble. But Canadian Impact, it's going to go back and forth. This is one of the tighter positions we could possibly be in. Papa Dijon's going to try and get those shots at Canadian Impact. He may very well get them. Dodoma is the one kind of carrying this whole thing right now. Militant is essentially the riskiest tank, as he is very, very paper armor, and if he gets caught out, it is bad news, but he could possibly swing wide and pick up Papa Dijon, which would open up this opportunity for Noble to counterpush, or rather shut down the pushes from DingNA. There it goes! Impact and Militant saw it coming, and it's starting to tilt very hard back in Noble's favor. Darth Vader's had an opportunity here to try and get on the outside and flank and deal with Dodoma himself, but I'm not sure necessarily he could win that 1v1. Dodoma is a fantastic player. The Object 140, I would personally rather be in the STB in this situation. Given this terrain, that one big shot from Darth Vader could be everything. Dodoma's going to start engaging him in a 1v1, and Romstar's going to come over and try and help him out, but shots coming out from Militant all the way across the map, adding everything in. Dodoma will clean this up very soon here. Canadian Impact going to try and cross, prevent Romstar from joining in, and quite frankly, it is over. Noble is going to take this one home, and that is going to end this match 5-0 as Dodoma picks up Darth Vader's STB, and now it's just Romstar waiting for the inevitable. Maybe he can pick up Dodoma while he's at it. Head-to-head with the two Object 140s. Militant, can this end before Militant comes in and rains on Romstar's parade? Canadian Impact is there as well.
Here we go.
And all 3 guns are on Romstar.
Dodo is going to pick that one up. Ladies and gentlemen, press F to pay respects there as Noble picks up their 5th and final victory of the night against DingNA. Congratulations to them. Again, continuing that domination, welcoming the newer teams, as Comp said, into the league. And one thing I do like seeing, though, what DingNA did was the different things, those different pushes, really utilizing the center, really trying to find new ways to play the map that might throw those curveballs onto Noble. But when it came down to it, Noble just getting some fantastic shots. A really good thing to also highlight the terrain, as we saw. Again, to us it looks so flat, but to them, the shots going to the ground multiple times from both sides really shows you that the slightest elevations could can really throw off a shot, which can sway an entire game.
If you're looking at these situations and you're not entirely sure why didn't he hit that shot, the best thing I can tell you is either hop in a training room or a pub match and find out for yourself.
Yeah.
Because these pros, they're not bad.
No,
they're not bad at shooting.
no.
They're juggling 19 things at once, and
Yeah.
a shot may be easy in some situations. They might just miss, but other times, there's probably a very good reason.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be the final fourth match of the night. If you guys missed anything, let's go back and do a quick recap. Up first, Eclipse versus Simp, where Eclipse beat Simp 5-4, followed by Simple Tankers beating Ping 5-1. Third was High Voltage beating Yo 5-1. And finally, what you guys just saw, Noble beating DingNA 5-1. David, out of all the matches of tonight, anything pop out of your mind? Any highlights that you want to kind of bring back?
Eclipse versus Simp.
Yeah.
Eclipse versus
fantastic
Simp.
match.
I can't summarize that into one simple highlight. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and
watch
this
it
as soon as this ends, because that
Yes.
game was crazy.
It was absolutely amazing indeed. Eclipse now coming in. This is the first time we've seen them picking up that victory against Simp. I know they must be feeling really, really good about that. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to tune in December 10th, which is Thursday, for our next 4 matches. 8 teams playing against each other. At first, Simp versus High Voltage, followed by Ping 999 versus Yo. Third, Noble versus Eclipse. And finally, DingNA versus Caller Wanted. There's also going to be a 5th match of 07 versus Googly Bobbers, but it will not be broadcast, but we will make sure to get those scores up and posted for you guys as soon as we know. On behalf of everyone. Actually, you know, before I close this out, I just want to thank you guys. Thank you all for following us on Twitter at WGLNA. Thank you guys for watching this on BattleViewer.com. For all of those you did, if you didn't, you have a chance next time, December 10th, to tune on that one. And finally, follow us on Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA. On behalf of everyone here at the WGLNA, that has been Papa DeJean. Actually, you're David Williams.
I'm not him.
I am Christian Toma, and as always, sign off phrase.